This is Neil's on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Try doing something new with my hair. It's not working. I'm going with it anyhow because, well, I don't care. This is Neil's on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. I was unable to make my bed this morning because my bed was overtaken. I'll make it later when they give me the opportunity. Be kind, helpful, and grateful because, well, see how far being a jerk gets you. Buy some silver, some platinum, and some crystallized osmium because, well, sounds like good advice to me. You know, putting your fiat dollar into a sound asset that's going to go up. I'd check it out. But that's not what this is about, because that's never what this is about. This is about, well, what's it about? I don't know. I'm fixed to find out. I haven't watched it yet. The New Tourist. It's, I don't know. How long has this been out? 3 hours ago. Russia just set up high-tech super spy satellite for Ibram Troe against the West. Dun, dun, dun. Hold on. Watch this. See this? Bang. You guys do that too.
Niger and Burkina Faso are at a critical crossroads. For years, these Sahelian nations have grappled with insurgencies, political instability, and complex relations with Western powers. Now, in a dramatic geopolitical shift, Russia has stepped in to supply them with satellite technology, a move that signals not just a pivot for these countries, but a broader realignment of alliances across Africa. What does this partnership signal about the evolving alliances in Africa, and how might it impact their relations with Western powers? Well, we are going to find out. But before we do so,
make sure to like, subscribe, and share, subscribe to the New Tourist channel.
Over the past decade, Russia has been steadily increasing its presence in Africa through diplomatic, military, and economic engagements, positioning itself as an alternative to Western powers. With the provision of satellite technology to these countries, Russia is cementing its influence in a region where Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have been marked by political turmoil in recent years, with military coups that have disrupted democratic governance. These countries are plagued by violent jihadist insurgencies.
I'm not sure they were too democratic before the coup, but I'll let that one slide.
Linked to groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which have rendered vast regions ungovernable, displaced millions, and triggered widespread humanitarian crises.
Before y'all start blaming the colonialist, I've gotten videos. It's already proven that AEU Dubai, who has stolen 500 tons of gold out of Burkina Faso, has been sponsoring the insurgents in Burkina Faso. So it wasn't the bad orange man. It was the Arabs.
Western powers, particularly France, have historically been involved in the region through military operations such as Operation Barkhane, aimed at neutralizing Islamist militants. Yet, despite this international presence, peace and stability have remained elusive.
And that is because if it was a peaceful area and all those activities were allowed to occur and they stopped the insurgencies in that area, then Dubai would not be able to steal gold out of Burkina Faso. So what really happened in Burkina Faso was the West was supplying arms to stop Dubai's sponsored insurgencies in the same area. So what you had is you had the West against the Middle East in Burkina Faso over gold that the Middle East was stealing from Burkina Faso. And what they talk about, let's put the camera on me. What they talk about is the quote unquote legal theft, which is going in there as a big country and manipulating things to get their resources cheap. But you're paying for the resources. Even though you're paying cheap, you're paying for it. And that's hated. What these guys aren't talking about is the people that are stealing resources and not paying for them, and then throwing that money that they stole back into the country to cause more problems so they can steal more money. And you would think right off the top of your head, oh my God, that's America. No. It's Saudi Arabia, it's Dubai, it's AEU, it's Iran, it's all those countries that want to steal gold. Steal, not pay a cheap price for it, but steal it. So all they jump on is the quote unquote legal means of the quote unquote colonial nations taking their gold and paying them a cheap price. And they're pissed at that, which they should be. But they should be enraged about the Middle East countries stealing their gold and not paying for it. That's what they don't talk about. And that's what pisses me off about these channels.
Growing anti-French sentiment in these nations, fueled by a perception that France has failed to bring security and prosperity, set the stage for a dramatic shift in
Ooh, the
alliances.
Simpsons. Yeah.
But why satellites? And what does this mean for these countries? Satellite technology offers numerous benefits, particularly for nations struggling with security and development challenges. Militarily, satellites would provide high-resolution imagery, enabling governments to monitor their borders, track the movement of insurgent groups, and enhance intelligence.
Yeah, by the way, these guys are just finding this out. If you look into my channel, maybe a month or so ago, I did, I think, 2 reports on Dubai with their helicopters that they got and some other drones that they got doing attacks on the insurgencies. And what they were actually using was the Russian satellites that was given to them. They were already using that way back then. They're just now talking about it. And to prove that, you just got to go look at my channels, the past videos about a month, 5-6 weeks ago, and it'll show you footage. And it looks exactly like this. So they were obviously using the satellites for quite some time. They just decided to tell you about it right now.
Capabilities. In countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, where much of the territory is vast, unmonitored, and vulnerable to extremist infiltration, this kind of technology will offer a significant strategic advantage. It can be the difference between reacting to insurgent attacks and preempting them.
That's part of this.
This satellite technology would be a game changer for sectors like
that's part of the video I showed on that right there. Hold on. That right there I showed on my video about 4 to 6 weeks ago. That exact scene. So I know for a fact they've been using these Russian satellites for a couple months.
It's between reacting to insurgent attacks and preempting them.
Wow, man.
This satellite technology would be a game changer for sectors like agriculture, communications, and infrastructure development. Satellite data would revolutionize agriculture in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, where food insecurity is a...
Actually, they've already changed up food insecurity. Ibrahim Traoré, I did a video on this as well. Not a total video, it was mentioned in the video. He's building a tomato plant because their big crop is tomatoes and they want to, package and do everything. So they've already used this technology to find out where to plant to get the best harvests. And then they built a factory like a Hunt's tomato factory or Heinz, not Heinz, the other tomato ketchup company. They have factories where they're taking all the tomatoes and make the products. They're like almost done building one. So this report's brought to you today by these guys, New Tourist. But see, I'm an iron worker. I've been in construction for like 35-ish, 40-ish years, off and on, mostly on, except for during lack of work. And it takes a while to build a factory. It doesn't happen in 2 days. It takes, fast track, no regulation. Well, you'll have it done in a year, maybe year and a half. And they've already come close to opening this tomato plant, which means they've already started on it at least 6 months ago. The report I did said they had already started on it. So you got to keep that in mind also. And if you keep up with my reports, I keep you up to date on all these other channels in Africa that are like picking pieces to give you and making reports out of it. I'm going to give you the whole picture because I've already done videos on most of the stuff they're picking apart. But anyhow, back to the story. Burkina Faso already has a tomato plant. They've already used their technology here they're talking about to plant tomatoes.
Growing crisis by providing real-time information on soil health, weather patterns, and water resources. Farmers in these arid regions may finally be able to optimize their crops and stave off the worst effects of desertification, vital steps toward boosting food production in a region that desperately needs it. Similarly, enhanced communication capabilities provided by satellites would help these nations bridge the connectivity gap, particularly in rural areas where access to the internet and basic communication infrastructure is limited. The provision of this technology also speaks to the broader diplomatic realignment in these nations. Over the past few years, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have distanced themselves from Western nations, particularly France. This shift has been most visible in the military domain, with France winding down its Operation Barkhane and pulling troops out of the region. As the French military presence recedes, Russia has stepped in, offering military support, training, and now satellite technology. This growing partnership with Russia reflects a broader disenchantment with Western powers and a desire among these governments to forge new alliances that they perceive as more aligned with their interests. On September 23rd, leaders from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, alongside Russian officials, sealed the satellite deal that would change the strategic landscape of West Africa.
Bingo.
The provision of satellite technology, discussed behind closed doors, marked not just a military decision, but a geopolitical statement. These nations are charting their own course. The meeting was a key step in formalizing a deal where Russia agreed to supply telecoms and surveillance satellites to the three West African nations, aimed at enhancing national and border security, particularly in response to ongoing threats from jihadist insurgencies in the region. The satellite technology is also expected to assist in broader development issues like disaster monitoring and telecommunications improvements across these countries. This move follows the deteriorating relations these nations have had with Western powers, especially after the withdrawal of French and US forces from the region. The 2023 coup in Niger that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, a strong ally of the West, sent shockwaves through the international community. It was a dramatic shift that marked a significant turning point, as Bazoum's government had been a key partner for France and the United States in their counterterrorism efforts in the Sahel, with US drone bases operating in the country. However, the new military government has signaled a desire to chart a more independent course, and Russia's satellite provision is part of this new trajectory. For Niger, the satellite deal with Russia not only strengthens the government's military capacity, but also signals to the world that it is no longer beholden to Western powers for security. Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, who led the 2021 coup, has been at the forefront of realigning the country's foreign policy away from the West and towards Russia. With the withdrawal of French troops, Mali has increasingly relied on Russian military support, particularly through the Wagner Group, a private military company with close ties to the Kremlin. The satellite deal further solidifies Russia's role as Mali's key strategic partner. For Goïta's regime, satellite technology can enhance the government's ability to monitor jihadist movements in the country's northern and central regions, where extremist groups have established strongholds. Burkina Faso has experienced its own political upheavals, with a coup in 2022 that ousted the previous government. Faced with escalating jihadist violence and widespread insecurity, the military junta in Burkina Faso has also been looking for new partners to bolster its capacity to address these challenges. The satellite deal with Russia fits into this broader strategy of seeking non-Western allies who can provide tangible support in the fight against insurgencies and the development of critical infrastructure. The coalition formed by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso is a significant geopolitical development that aligns closely with the broader context of these nations' growing partnerships with Russia. Following their respective military coups and distancing from Western influence, these three nations formed a military and political alliance, officially known as the Alliance of Sahel States.
And they are going to be a very powerful alliance, which every nation should be paying attention to, but most of them aren't. But that's why you got me, because I'm going to keep you up to date on what's going on in the Sahel region, for which there are a lot of mining companies, gold mining companies, and a lot of them are going to get their contracts cut. So for all of y'all that are into mining contracts and mining companies and stock market, be aware of that and, maneuver as you see fit for your portfolio. You guys have a great day. Be kind, helpful, grateful.